its form.
Its cloak, yes.
And this is what media and television is all about.
Yeah, well, that is now cultural imperialism. We will come to that. But then what you're again pointing out is that we are indeed in a double jeopardy, if I might put it that way. One is that we feel that there is a conspiracy that the West has on one hand. On the other hand, we do not seem to acknowledge that we are no more the power, and we are nothing in terms of amounting to anything in the scheme of things.
Well, neither was the Prophet's Medina in the 7th century, so we shouldn't forget that.
No, we shouldn't.
And the Quran very clearly says, كَمْ مِنْ فِئَةٍ قَلِيلَةٍ غَلَبَتْ فِئَةٍ كَثِيرَةٍ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. How many times have a small faction defeated a great faction by the permission of God? And so we have, you know, the Muslims, if they're obeying their teachings and practicing, then they have a permission, they have an authority, which is very powerful, and we shouldn't underestimate it. You know, but I think it's, you know, it's a good point that if you look, you know, why isn't anything happening? And I think part of it is the fact that if you look at the disease, which I feel the greatest articulation of it from the Islamic perspective is the word itself, which is used to designate everything that is against Islam, and that is jahiliyyah. And jahiliyyah is a word that in its root meaning means ignorance. And this is the whole argument of Islam, that you reject the truth out of ignorance, that you only do things that are bad out of ignorance. And this is Socratic teaching as well. I mean, even the Europeans have this idea that you know, that people don't do bad things if they really knew what they were doing. And this is part of what Islam does, is it's you know, or what God does through Islam is literally to open the eyes of people, to let them see. And one of my favorite things that's happened in recent popular culture is this Kathy Lee Gifford incident. And there was a wonderful picture of her in Newsweek that obviously got out of some television broadcasting, which is where she's got this horrified look, like, you know, a shocked look when she finds out that she's been supporting child labor. This whole country is supporting child labor. The clothes we're wearing are supporting child labor. The tennis shoes that we jog in are supporting child labor. The soccer balls, the baseball bats that we hit our baseballs with. I mean, the whole thing is supporting child labor. Don't blame Kathy Gifford. Blame the whole country. You see, and this is what people don't want to deal with, is that, no, we have to look deeply at what's going on.
Well, so then this, what you're saying, that, I mean, the example that you've used is of, how should I say, of using people, or of abusing people to create to support the consumerism or what have you. But getting away from the because that brings us to the issue of justice and economic justice and then the Quran. We'll get into that. But let us talk a little bit now of why is it that looking at all of the Muslim countries, 50 and odd, 55, 56, I don't know.
Whatever the number is. They've grown in the last few
there
years.
still isn't either an awareness, one, or acknowledgement, or formulation of some kind of vision or strategy. What is our worldview now?
Well, this is part of the crisis again. I mean, we're an ummah in search of a worldview. One of the things that David Chittick, in his Vision of Islam, wonderful book, this is one of the things that he puts forward, is that the Muslims have lost sight of a Quranic worldview, you know, the Weltanschauung, of what, you know, it's not this, what Guy Eaton in the Islam and Destiny Man calls a Boy Scout religion. This is what we've been reduced to thinking that Islam is. It's going around doing good deeds. No, it has a way of viewing the world, a vision. And if you don't have the vision of Islam, no matter how sincere your efforts are, you're not going to be anything other than a glorified Mormon or a glorified, you know, Jehovah's Witness, or somebody who's out because they're doing good deeds. I mean, that doesn't, the moral element of Islam is not what makes us unique as a community, because every community has a moral element. No, it's It's the vision, it's what the tradition was called the aqidah. It was the understanding that Islam imparted to human beings, which enabled not only the morality to function, but also for there to be an absolute clarification of what exactly morality is. Because there's a great deal of confusion in our modern world. For instance.
But there is confusion within the Muslims too. That's
Absolutely, because we don't have this thing anymore.
No,
so you're asking.
Not only that, but the thing that is interesting now is that there are Muslims and there are pious Muslims.
Wonderfully pious.
Wonderfully pious.
Absolutely.
But then if you look at that, if you look at the whole world of Islam at presently, these Muslims who are pious, some of them, very few of them, are also actively engaged in a social emancipation.
Right. Social justice.
Of the rest of the world.
Well, this is the separation of deen from millah.
Yeah.
Because Islam has these two concepts. It has the personal, which is deen. This is our relationship with God. But it also has the millah, which is the collective group of what our goal is as a collective body. Yeah. And the goal of the collective body is the establishment of social justice, right, which is called Sharia, the sacred law. Now, one of the things that you see...
No, but I want you to answer also.
This is important because we get back to this colonial idea.
Yeah.
The Quran very clearly says, لَن تَرْضَ عَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَلَا نَصَارَ حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُمْ. The Jewish tradition and the Christian tradition, which is not religious, it's their social phenomenon, which I now think is Europe and America. This is the Judeo-Christian phenomenon. They will not be content until you follow their millah. Now, in the Quran, it does not say deen, which is their personal piety or their personal transactions with God. No, it says their millah, how they function as a collective body. Now, the dominant millah of our modernist condition is the consumer society. This is the idol of the age, consumption, that we were born to consume. Now, first of all, two interesting things to note. One is that consumer in Old English means the devil. And the Quran says, إِنَّ الْمُبَذِّرِينَ إِخْوَانَ الشَّيَاطِينَ. Those who are gratuitously extravagant are the companions or the brothers, the brethren of the Sayateen, the Shayateen, who are, this perverse element in human society and in the human heart, which is calling people to lower functions. And so the idea of consumption now is being presented to the world as salvation.
Consumerism.
As salvation. Right. That you will be happy through buying. Yeah. That you will be happy if you will have all those goods that are going to make you happy. This is the constant message of the television, the constant message of media, the message of government. More. If we can just make more schools, if we can just put more computers in the schools, if we can just have more prisons, there'll be less crime. So everything is more.
That, unfortunately, is a part of capitalism.
Well, yeah, at its last stages. But what Islam is saying is no. By having less, you have more. By diminishing your exterior wants and increasing your interior wants. Because we have interior and exterior wants. Our interior wants are not the same. Because if I'm cold, it's my body that's shivering, it's not my soul. And I can deal with that. I just put a blanket on and I can resolve that crisis. But if my soul is shivering, then what do I use to cover up that? Well, you can attempt to put a blanket, which is what consumerism is. You see, no, buy, and the blanket doesn't work. Well, here's a new and improved, right? This is what they love to use in their commercials. The new and improved blanket. This will really make you warm. Oh, this new car. Wait till you get this new stereo, this new television. It just keeps going and going and going. And in the end, this human being is left consumed. Because the consumer is ultimately consumed. Because life consumes us.